Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Titans. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we see kind of the final stages, or the beginning acts of the final stage of Crane's plan. And to basically, obviously, Jason has his reluctancy in it because for him it's like, right, like the Titans were about to take me back potentially, which even that was going to be a complex situation because they hadn't even 100% decided how they're going to handle things because it's like, right, he should pay for what he's done. But then there's also the conversation of like, no, it was Crane, but was it Crane? Like, it, regardless of being Crane or not, it still doesn't justify all that Jason's kind of done on his own. Like, he's the reason why things have kind of gone this far. Yeah, Crane's manipulating him, but that can only be taken so far. A lot of this stems from like Jason's own anger and stuff. But he kind of has, like, he has no choice but to kind of go along with the plan, because Crane basically uses everything to frame the Titans and say that they're the ones responsible for this. Obviously, like, the city's water getting poisoned is going to take, like, 4 or 5 days to shut that down, but it's also, like, right, like, for them to, like, clear it out, though, like, to completely clear it out, and it's, like, right, people can't go, like, 4 or 5 days without, like, water, but the thing is, like, it's so potent in the water. It's also odorless and colorless. You wouldn't know. Thousands of people have already been affected. It's like there's like 6 million people in Gotham in general. So it's like it could be much worse. And it's just like we need to just stop this now. But that just adds more fuel to the fire. And so like there's even now a bounty on specifically Nightwing's head, 50,000. So Dick can't go out and about because if he does, he's gone. So he's trying to get the Titans to go out there to help out, obviously deal with the people who've kind of gone berserker because of the water, but you know, helping all the civilians that actually need help. But it doesn't matter because like people believe whatever they want to believe. It's like, no, they saw the video footage, it's like, wait, it's you. Like, they need someone to blame, and now having a target to, you know, throw their anger towards because like the city's kind of going in an upheaval. There's an interesting parallel that you can draw. Like, Gotham's basically kind of going slightly no man's land route. Granted, not as severe. Obviously, we've gotten a close adaptation of that with Gotham, but it's like it's not as bad as like things were at the end of season 4 of Gotham / all of season, well, most of season 5. It's not that bad, but it's getting to that lane because basically the government shut it down. Granted, they didn't destroy like all the routes, like the bridges and stuff like that in and out of Gotham. They still have locked it down tight. So, like I said, it's borderlining no man's land, but not necessarily as bad. And now, like, you know, Batman's gone and the Titans are here, but they're trying to help, but they're being disregarded. So it's like everyone blames him for what's going on. And, you know, Dick told them to back down because it's like, right, if we're there, it's going to cause much more harm than good. And you could tell Blackfire wanted to do something. The guy was like, yeah, get out of here, you freaks. And she, looking back, I expected her. I was like, oh, that's going to... Luckily, she didn't do anything. I'm surprised. But later on, she made it... She was like, oh, I have unfinished business. I'm like, I'm assuming it's got to include that guy. You're going to track him down. But it might also include Connor. That might be a whole thing in itself. But, regardless, kind of... breaking it down, it's like, what do we do? Because the Titans are basically put into backed into a corner. The GCPD is getting blamed too because it's like, right, you supported these heroes and you're backing them, so now the GCPD looks culpable for everything that they've done. They're the blame for everything. So it's like, right, who's going to be your hero? Red Hood, even though like Red Hood has been like terrorizing the place. But I guess it's like some arguments, I guess it's like how do you manage to like let all that he did slip under the radar? Like, I don't know if it's like, well, because to be fair, like a lot of the stuff he did as Red Hood was mainly just taking down bad guys, and even the innocent people he dragged into the same, because like he had that like separation where it's like he wasn't the one doing the bad stuff, like he forced other people to, but like, oh, like threatening their families and stuff like that, blackmailing them and forcing them to do stuff. So like they're the ones like being blamed for these things, but it's like only the GCPD was really looking for Red Hood behind everything. So I could be mistaken. I don't know if he's really ever been on the front and center of just everything because he's always had a layer of disconnect. It's very like Watchmen-esque with the whole Ozymandias situation of like, you know, whether it be the movie using the whole Dr. Manhattan situation, or whether it's the comic book / the continuation in the TV show where it's the giant psychic octopus, psychic squid, excuse me. It's a squid, right? Yeah, I don't think it's an octopus. I think it's a giant telepathic squid. But it's kind of like that, where it's just like, oh, you swoop in and become the hero. I mean, to be fair, Crane made it clear that this was going to be the plan in the beginning. It's just like how you would get there, you know. And Jason was even having his reluctancy because it's like, right, this is supposed to be a new way. And he's like, yeah, it is the new way forward. Because I guess Jason wanted, like, because he's like, the way Batman was handling things, no, that wasn't helping Gotham. The Titans' way of doing things wasn't helping Gotham. It's just like for him, he wanted to kind of find like a more permanent solution. And now, basically, from this rebirth, like from the ashes, Gotham will rise in a new image and he'll be its savior. I mean, because like he's always been taking orders from other people. Like he always wanted to kind of be his own person, but he never could because he always came back. Like, you know, in his mind, it's like, right, I always came back like the helpless child of like, right, Bruce kind of tossed me on to the Titans. The Titans kind of left me behind. I came crawling back to Bruce. But now it's like, no, I'm my own person, which you're actually not, because I think he still has to struggle with the fact is he's taking barking orders from Crane. So, but it's just kind of a thing of like he's angry at Bruce, and he's angry at Gotham in general, just the nature of what this city is. You know, it's just kind of like it not, you know, but it's like, right, this place that me and so many other people have grown up on the streets, and it's like, right, I'm gonna make this place a better place, you know. And so even later on when Molly calls him, she's like, let's get out of Gotham. But for him, it's like, I don't have anything left. This mission is all I have left, because the only other people he had, he's burned bridges. There's no going back to Bruce after everything. He wouldn't want to. He feels like the Titans are like, yep, they were going to give me one more chance, and now that's gone. It's like, I have, like, Crane's kind of left me with no choice. This is all I have, so I have to embrace it. I have to embrace the identity of Red Hood. That's all that is left. I wonder, even in his mind, is there even any Jason Todd left? It's like, going forward, there's no point in keeping Jason Todd alive. Might as well just fully embrace being Red Hood type of thing. I don't know. We'll see whether he's really kind of gotten to that mentality yet. But he's telling, you know, Molly, she's like one of the few good people he knows, and it's like, you need to take the time just to get out of Gotham. Like, don't let this city take, like, that last little bit of good, like, the good, that person that you are, don't let the city take that from you. We did see that Gar was reading up on, I guess, trying to figure out what happened to Jason, and he finds out about Ra's al Ghul, even the Lazarus Pit. So where that kind of goes from there, because once again, like they talked about it, Bruce shut down most of those Lazarus Pits. The only one that he didn't know about was like the one that like Crane was aware of that he used to bring Jason back. But other than that, like, well, because once again, we know based on Arrow, I know that the Lazarus Pit can contort you. So I'm wondering, is there some form of that going on? I think I brought that up previously. Maybe it just made it easier for Crane's like manipulation. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, it also fits in line with kind of like the craziness that everyone's kind of into, and like it made like. I'm surprised, like, the Lazarus Pit isn't an ingredient. It might be. Just, like, it is a thing of, like, the murderous, like, rage and won't stop is, like, we saw that time and time again in Arrow. But, like, once again, I don't know if that's, like, an Arrow-specific interpretation of the Lazarus Pit, because I think it doesn't have that same quality in Gotham. So, like, that might not be something typical to the Lazarus Pit across the continuity of, like, comics, which obviously those change from time to time. But I'm sure, like, there's some things that tend to stay the same across most iterations of a comic or something. Or a specific character's continuity might still be the same across, you know, different iterations and stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see. It's just like interesting that like they made Gar kind of study up on that really quickly. He just got as far as like, all right, I'll go to the Lazarus Pit. Where that will take them in the future, we'll have to wait and see. But now kind of backed into a corner. Dick feels like the only way for like things to kind of be better is like the city needs to restore its trust in the GCPD so they can at least get some shape and form of control back to Gotham. So they want to turn themselves in. It's like, right, I'll turn myself in. It's like me and the Titan. Initially, he made it seem like it was just him, but it's like, right, all of the Titans will get arrested, but obviously we'll post bail, and then we'll go back to not being the public figures that we are. We'll go back to helping people from the shadows until we like take Gotham back night by night if we have to. But this way, like, it appeases some of that anger and distrust, and it puts it back in the GCPD. So, because the GCPD the city of Gotham counted on Batman as well as, you know, Gordon to do what they do best and protect the city, and that's all kind of being undone by Jason and Crane. And so Dick brings this back to the whole squad, which, you know, every one of them kind of, you know, reluctantly agrees with like, right, this, not wanting to ever be in a situation where to see the city hate them as much as it does. And so this is for the better option, and it's not going to be permanent either. It's just like, right, we're going to be in, we're going to post bail and bounce, and disappear, from the public eye again. So they all accept it, even Blackfire. So, but sadly, like, Crane accounted for all of this, so he sent Jason to get to some cops, pay them off to try and kill the Titans, or at least push them into a corner. It's like, probably knew, like, yeah, you kill one, sure, but like, you're not going to be able to kill the Titans. At the very least, you're going to put them in a position where they're all going to be even more villainized. And obviously, Barbara gets caught in that crosshair too, because like, it's not just the Titans in general she's trying to protect. Like, one of the cops, he had his gun trained on Nightwing, and obviously, like, she cares about Dick, so it's like she's trying to save him, and now it's a situation where she's getting arrested. She was in the right, she told the guy to stand down, but I guess, like, from an outside, like, even with the context of everything, it's still like, right, it's going to have to be investigated. The fact of the matter is, on top of that, too, it's like, because the argument's going to work against her, because it's like, right, he was trying to stop some criminals from breaking free, but it's like, that's not the arrangement that we had. So like, it could easily, at the very least, it's removed her from the board. Now, who's taking over in the meantime? Like, who knows? But that particular cop, which played by Greg Brick, is that how you would say his name? I always never know how to fully pronounce his name. Multitude of things I know him from. Like, he's popped up in so many different things. I think the first thing that always comes to mind is Bitten, which I always think is kind of interesting because, God, what is Lauren's? It's Laura, not Lauren, right? She was Supergirl in Smallville, but she was also in Bitten, which she also returned to, like, the DC Universe in season 1 of Supergirl. But yeah, like, that's just an interesting tie to the DC Universe in that regard. I'm just thinking too much about it, but just like the both of them being in the DC Universe to some extent. But so that super imploded in their faces and went super sideways, especially because Connor lost his cool, especially when one of the bullets hit Blackfire, and it's just like, that set everything in motion. I mean, to be fair, like, the cops are like going super aggro, and so it's like, it kind of said no chance against them, so they kind of ripped through everyone, not like killing anyone, just knocking them out of the way, and managed to get away. But obviously everyone's separated, Dick is with Connor, and it's like, let's go back home. It's like, no, the cops know about Wayne Manor now, so it's like, that'll just like draw their attention there. We can't go home. And then on top of that too, it's like, well, let's go out and help the city. It's like, we can't. Gotham's on its own, because we have to try and survive ourselves. The entire city, civilians and GCPD alike, are coming after us, so we have no allies. We're kind of on our own. A little kind of rogue in the shadows type of situation, because you even saw like someone spray painting like the wanted posters, just like spraying out alive, and just said, sign saying wanted dead, and just like flipping off like the so it's like the entire city's just kind of swept up in that hatred towards the Titans. So we didn't touch on Tim's situation at all this episode. Maybe we'll get some more context for what's up with him. I mean, he's probably like still in the hospital recovering. Yeah, he might be alive, but he's still recovering from a gunshot wound, so that's probably going to take a while. Still no explanation for what Dick has been seeing recently. Like I said, until last episode, I kept being like, oh, I thought it was Rachel, but no, because they flashed back to it again, like him seeing the bat symbol and everything. I was like, so what is that? Like, is that just something in his head? Like, his head getting the better of him? Or is there something to that? Because as Gar was coming out of his, like, tranquilized, like, sleep or whatever, Rachel shows up and is like asking about the circumstances, and it's like she was able to track him down from GCPD, so it's like, what's going on? Again, she didn't have too many questions, because it's like, oh, like the whole Jason thing is like, right, Jason and Crane, they're working together. I guess he's gonna have to fill her in, like, in the full details of everything, but it's like, right, where's everybody else? And like I said, everyone's scattered to the wind. Starfire's there to help Blackfire with the gunshot when she's trying to heal her, but in the process, Starfire's power activates and steals all of it. And I guess maybe at its core, that's always because that power of hers, we've seen it resonate. Part of me wonders, like, maybe it's something that can only steal from Tamaranians, or maybe just that ends up being her power in general, is that she could still, because like when she was doing her thing with Connor, part of me was wondering, like, now knowing like her power is kind of an absorption power, I was wondering, like, could it be like she could have absorbed some of his superhuman strength and stuff like that without even realizing it? But it's like she ends up sucking up all of Corey's powers, and it's like, I wonder, like, it makes you wonder, is that kind of like the dual side of like them being the princesses of Tamara and them being sisters, like whereas Corey has like the light side of the power, and then her sister has like the dark shadow power version of her, but she ends up sucking up all of Corey's power, and Corey's like, is this what you were planning the entire time? And even I was wondering, but the way Blackfire's answering, she's like, no, like, I didn't want things to turn out this way. Yeah, she wanted the power, and maybe like on some level it's resonating with what she wanted. It's like either the power inside of her has always been lusting after that, in a sense of like, not in a like she does it consciously but subconsciously, like the nature of her abilities, like what has always been longing for that power, or maybe just on the subconscious level her herself has been longing for the power. We know that because she always was resentful of Corey being the one chosen with that power. And it's like, now she's telling Corey, it's like, right, let's just go us, we could fix this misunderstanding. But for Corey, it's like, I'm not going to leave my family behind. It's like, they're not your family, I am. It's like, they wouldn't abandon me, so like, I can't do that for them. Which her sister is like, you're so stupid, like, why would you, like, but Corey's like, you would never understand. She's like, you're right, I don't. And like I brought up earlier, her unfinished business, I'm assuming it's going to be, I'm assuming it's got maybe just about hunting that guy down that she wants some payback against, but also Connor. Like, Connor's probably not going to be too receptive of just kind of abandoning everything, but it's like, right. Because I think Blackfire legitimately has, like, fallen for him, and it's like, now that she has these powers, she'll most likely go back to Tamarin, because it's like, now she can rule with an iron fist type of thing, and she's probably also like, right, like, you can come with me, Connor, and we could rule Tamarin together. You'll be by my side always, and we'll rule Tamarin together. I can go back to my people. I can like fix things. And now that I have the power to, like I said, it's just, it might not have been what you planned for, but it is kind of what you've always wanted. So it's just interesting that in the moment your sister's trying to help you out, she says that's not how it is, but it's just like, she didn't do a lot to be like, oh, if you feel that way, sis, I'm bouncing, I'm going. So that didn't last too long. Moment she kind of got what she wanted, she's like, no, sis, I didn't plan to. Oh, well, I'm a bounce. I got your powers. We'll see whether, like, Corey's powers can, like, because once again, they never really explain, like, what happened to her powers in between season 2 and 3, and in between 2 and this season, because we don't, like, her powers were going for a while, but I guess they finally kicked back in. Her sister absorbed them. Like, are they permanently gone, or is there, like, kind of, maybe, like, the argument is, like, there was a spark, and it just took a little while for them to finally come back. So maybe the same thing is in this case. Like, did she take everything, including the spark, or is it, like, the spark is still there, it's just going to take time for it to fully grow back, so we'll see how things go next episode. Like I said, if it ends up being a thing of her and Connor, like, I don't think Connor's going to leave the Titans behind because they need him during a time like this, and he doesn't want to abandon them, but we'll see how that plays out, because he did promise to always have her back, and she's probably going to hold him to this. Like, right, you said you'll always be there for me, you won't leave me alone, especially because she was like, right, on Tamarin they have the pit, and she was worried that that's what prison was going to be like. Granted, there are prisons on this world that are like the pit she described, but I doubt, I mean, to be fair, they're superheroes and people with powers. Like, there are special prisons, I mean, at least based on what we know in Arrow, and I'm sure the same thing applies in, I mean, you have places like Arkham and even Blackgate for, like, supervillains, so, like, why wouldn't, like, superheroes, but, like, even Arrow, like, they're, but in the Arrowverse, like, specifically, like, the Flash ends up being the place that you see, like, a lot of metahumans get locked up in, so, like, a lot of them would have been locked up in, like, some deep, dark places. They probably locked Corey and Blackfire in a place where they wouldn't be able to get at, or even, Connor, so they wouldn't have access to the sun, so they're in a weakened state, So it's not like, oh, it's impossible for them to drop them in a deep, dark pit. It's like, yeah, it's possible. It's just, would they, though? It's the whole other problem. I mean, to be fair, Dick was locked up last season, so broke out then, could always break out again, once again, depending on how high level security of a prison they throw him in. Not really a concern right now, considering they're out and about. But another angle to this episode is Donna making her way to Gotham. But on the way, she gets attacked by Lydia, because, like, obviously Lydia has her questions about, like, how she came back, but also, even if she has come back, what has come back. Is it actually Donna or is it something else? And so she's putting her through a trial. And it's like, right, you should come back to, take the test. But it's like, right, you don't want to take it there. We'll take it now. So she kind of traps her in this realm to, like, take this test. And it's like, because Donna has kind of lost a step or two. She's like, I was dead for a while, but it's also like you're not human yet. You like try to be amongst him and stuff like that, which that's obviously a point of contention for Donna, because it's like, right, you've always hated me because I was human. But it's like, it's a part of herself. But Lydia's like, no, I never did. The fact of the matter is, you're kind of the best of both worlds. You're the best of us, because it's like you're part of your world and mine. And I just want you to be stronger. It's like, because she already lost her daughter, and then she lost Donna, and it's like, I don't want to lose you again, because I don't know if I could take that. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, don't be sorry, be stronger, because you will have the power to, like, you aren't just meant to, like, be the hero for the amongst the humans. Like, you are meant to lead. It's kind of like, right, your destiny is still out there, And so I do like that she shows up at the gate, and the guy's like, yo, back away, and he tries to tase her, and she's looking like, yeah, I've been there, done that. And so knocks the other guy back, bends the gun, is like, you gonna let me through? And he's like, yeah. So she's here in Gotham while the Titans are scattered, and Crane and Jason decide to make themselves at home in Wayne Manor, which you can tell it's awkward for Jason, because he hasn't been back since he's been back alive. He hasn't been back, so stepping foot in there, it's just like, right, this home, you're fine. I was about to say prodigal son, but I think he's still falling in the category. One of the prodigal sons, let's kind of leave it at that, is back in Gotham. I mean, not back in Gotham, Jesus. Back in Wayne Manor. And the symbology of, like, right, tearing apart, like, the picture of Martha, Thomas, and Bruce. Because it's also, like, right, like, here's you and your family, and, like, you try to tell me I was your son, but you took being Robin away from me. It's like, Bruce wasn't good at, like, explaining, like, he was trying to come at it from a good place, but it's like, after all the resentment that had been built up between you and Jason, you just didn't do a good job at it. It's like, when you tried to do the right thing, I mean, to be fair, how you handled the whole Leslie thing, too, like, getting information, I mean, whether Leslie intentionally gave him the information, or whether he, like, hacked into her files, or put a listening device in there, whatever the case may be, he kind of went about things the wrong way, but he thought he was doing the right thing for Jason. Hence why he tried to kill himself, knowing, like, right, I'm the reason why, like, Jason's turned into what he has, like, why he went to Crane, why this is all happening, all that death and destruction in Gotham. It's like, I've gone through so much to try and save Gotham, and ultimately I ended up being potentially I'm the one that tilt the scale more towards destruction, because I helped set everything in motion by pushing Jason down this path. But Crane, welcome to Crane Manor now. So, well, it will definitely be interesting to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. Like I said, a lot of people in play. Like I said, we didn't touch on Tim, but he is alive, like I said, recovering. But Rachel and Donna are back here in Gotham while the Titans are scattered. Starfire, God, Corey is without her powers right now, potentially, so, and you got Blackfire kind of running amok, and who knows what kind of damage she's going to cause in her own right, but, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where ultimately all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.